Hello, everyone. We're back for another episode of the Bharat Army podcast, joining you wherever you are, all over the world, wherever you might be, any corner of the world, hoping that you are staying safe, staying home under current lockdown restrictions, which are still throughout the world at the moment, and hoping you're all happy and living the peaceful best life as you possibly can underneath these circumstances. You are joining us for a special episode of the Bharat Army podcast today, because we are starting our Cricket World Cup Rewind series. We are taking the clock back 365 days and talking about India at last year's World Cup. The good, the great, the not so great moments from that World Cup. We'll get onto that later, but what better match to start with than India versus Pakistan? And let's see who our cricket connoisseurs are this week, who will be joining me talking about this week's India versus Pakistan clash at the Cricket World Cup 2019. We have joining us from his penthouse in Hounslow, Amish. How you doing, Amish?
All good, Ash, mate. All good. All good.
Good to have you back in your signature pink.
Thank you very much. I've still got the hat, mate. I've still got the hat.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Decked out. We've also got from London, Jinesh. How you doing, Jinesh?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, doing all right. We also have back on the podcast this week, the smoothest voice in the whole of Pune. It is, of course, Naresh. How you doing, Naresh?
Good. Thanks, Ashish, for that introduction.
Listen, your voice is all we need to have a nice, relaxed podcast atmosphere. And joining us for his podcast debut this week, joining us all the way from Newcastle upon Tyne, it's Ajay. How you doing, Ajay?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, doing all right. Very happy to have you joining us this week. So, India-Pakistan at last year's Cricket World Cup. Let's talk a little bit about what was happening leading up to that match. So, leading up to that match, obviously in World Cups, India had won all 6 encounters previous to this match. You can go do your own research for all of those matches. Some incredible victories in there. Pakistan obviously yet to register that World Cup victory against India leading into this match. Now, in the tournament itself, leading up to this match, India had won their first 2 matches against South Africa and Australia, and then had a washout match against New Zealand, which was supposed to be played at Trent Bridge. And then, of course, there was the India-Pakistan match. Now, Pakistan, not faring so great in this tournament, actually. They lost their first game to the West Indies. They then somehow registered a stunning victory against England. Then had another rain-affected match against Sri Lanka, which was washed out, and then lost to Australia. So the pressure was really on them leading into this match. The pressure was really, really on. So what happened in the match itself? Well, to just give you a very quick summary, Pakistan won the toss, put India into bat. It was 336 for 5 was the India score, and the Pakistan run chase patted out at 212 for 6, meaning that India won the match by 40 runs through the Duckworth-Lewis method. Now, some of our guys on the podcast today were at the Bharat Army Bharat Ke Saath event, which was the day before the India versus Pakistan match. Amish, tell us your memories about that night. How was it?
Amazing, incredible. To know Bharat Army pulled off an event as good as that. Credit to Bharat Army, honestly, credit to Bharat Army. Everyone went absolutely crazy when Guru came on the stage. Tommy did a fantastic job hosting the night. It was quality, absolute quality. Manic, I have to say, leading up to that day, but the evening itself was amazing.
And Ajay, yeah, you were there as well, weren't you?
Yeah, it was amazing. Everything about it. It was, for Bharat Army to put on a show like that, it just shows how big they are and how good it was. Everything was amazing, brilliant. Couldn't fault it, honestly.
And Jinesh, what was your, not just about the Bharat Ke Saath event, but what were your kind of memories just of everything leading up to that India-Pakistan match?
To be honest, after the New Zealand game got rained off, there was a lot of talk about the weather. A lot of, people had travelled from across the globe just for that one game. People were anxious more about the weather than Pakistan, I would say. And I quite clearly remember Friday was it Friday or the Saturday, the night before the game anyway, 8 p.m. there was some blue sky, right? It'd been raining all day, and it was like jubilation. You know, it was like Rohit Sharma had smashed the six through extra cover. You know, there was hope that and the weather forecast was changing every kind of hour. So, you know, people from across the globe were like, "You're in Manchester. What's the weather like?" And luckily we ended up getting a game.
Yeah, that was my memories of it, to be honest, which I think quickly gets forgotten, was that everything was just about what the weather was going to be like. Everyone was saying, oh, it's such an anticipated match, but most of the talk was just about whether the match was actually going to happen or not because of the weather.
Yep. And also, you know, a lot of games have been kind of affected by rain up to that point, right? So
yeah, I mean, both, like I mentioned, both India and Pakistan had games that had been washed out leading up to that. Naresh, you have a slightly different story about what you were doing towards the India-Pakistan match. Tell us your story.
Yeah, Ashish. So I was part of the volunteer group, the cricketer group, which ICC had formed at each venue. And if you see this particular World Cup, the schedule was, you know, the first 2 weeks, India had the top 4 games, you know, so there were so many people traveling for these games. And obviously India-Pakistan was a big event. And also the build up to the event back home before the World Cup started, there were a lot of things happening that was building up. As Dinesh mentioned, the week was bad weather. After a beautiful Sunday in London, India-Australia game, it was quite gloomy throughout the week. There was a washout. People moved to Manchester with that little bit of an anxiety whether the game is going to be there or no. Saturday was that main day when there were a lot of fan zones being set up in the city. Manchester were all set hosting. That was the first game Manchester was hosting in the World Cup. India-Pakistan was the first game. And during the day, there were fans, the kids were out there in the city center. There was rain, it was overcast. So that little bit of things, you know, the fear that whether there's going to be a game or no, because the previous one was a washout. And obviously Saturday evening when the clouds were clear at 8 in the evening, a typical English summer evening, it was really something which, you know, people were looking forward. And it didn't rain right until morning where it was clear. But yeah, again, there were some clouds and which had some impact on the decision on the toss.
Well, you know, let's get straight into it, shall we? Because I think one of the main talking points to actually come out of that match post the actual result was that toss. As I mentioned, Pakistan won the toss and put India into bat. Now, I think the dark cloud hanging over this match for a lot of India fans was also that Champions Trophy final 2 years previously, where Pakistan batted first and then posted a huge total. I tell you what, let's stick with you, Naresh. What was your views on that toss? Because I know, having watched you know, a lot of videos from Pakistan fans after the match, even Shoaib Akhtar on his YouTube channel was very critical of Sarfraz for putting India into bat. What was your views on it?
So actually, that was surprising. If, as you mentioned, the previous 6 World Cups which India has won against Pakistan, team winning the toss has batted first. This was the first time a team winning the toss was putting in India or the opponent into bat. And it is definitely the influence of the weather conditions. The pitch was to be used for the first time in the World Cup. There was rain throughout, at least Friday, Saturday was a lot of rain. The covers were on. Maybe Mohammad Amir factor played a role there because of overcast conditions. Indian batsmen have struggled against Mohammad Amir. So probably that's the reason Sarfraz put in India. And obviously with the forecast still being there for some rain during the day, the Duckworth Lewis would have played a role. So that would have influenced that. But yeah, it was a bit surprising taking history into consideration. As you mentioned, Champions Trophy, they played together in Asia Cup for a few months back, couple of games. Obviously India won that convincingly. But the World Cup history, always the team winning the toss batted first.
Dinesh, what was it like for you guys to actually be there and then hear that Sarfraz had won the toss and put India into bat? What was your initial thoughts?
I was pretty worried. Reason being, I was very bullish for India to win the World Cup with only one doubt. And my doubt was in overcast conditions, you know, on our openers, you know, number 3, Kohli may struggle. So based on that point, I was pretty worried. especially, Shikhar Dhawan was injured in that game. So, Rahul had to go up the order. But I thought Pakistan, they bowled very, very poorly. Mohammad Amir bowled really well, but at the other end, there was too many short balls, and they played into the hands of Rohit Sharma. If you see, Rohit Sharma usually starts off very slowly, but that day, he was cutting the ball, he was pulling. I remember he cut one for 6 over point off Hassan Ali, I think it was. So I think they made the mistake of bowling short. I think if they'd pitched the ball up, a bit like New Zealand had later in the tournament, it may have been a different story. But I'm glad they didn't.
Do you know what? I'm glad you said it, because I kind of feel the same way, to be honest. I don't really blame Sarfraz for putting India into bat too much, considering especially what Mohammad Amir had done to them in 2017. Amish, what do you think? Do you think he made the wrong call?
Do you know what? I'd say hindsight's a beautiful thing, and because knowing that you've got rain expected throughout the day, and India only had rain, I think, from like over 30 onwards. So do you want to be in a position where you're batting when you've got rain, or you want to be like, it works both ways, right? Kohli actually said that he would have bowled first as well. So I just think, as Jinesh said, Pakistan made that decision, but they didn't execute their plan. So if you're gonna, and it's a very defensive move. World Cup game, as Norris said, bowling first, that's a very defensive, like, it kind of puts you on the back foot already, unless you're going to capitalize or you've got a fantastic team at chasing totals down, which Pakistan didn't do. So it was a strange move, but then again, if I would have personally rather bowled when rain is going to come on during the game, as opposed to being, as a batsman, being in the pitch and on and off. And I think India had a few short interruptions, whereas Pakistan had a bigger interruption.
Ajay, yeah, what's your thoughts on that toss and how it all panned out?
Do you know how Pakistan first won the toss? The bigger picture would have probably been if Pakistan, their bowling was their most strongest point. Okay, so I thought that's why they won the toss, wanted to bowl first, and as the weather conditions altered, rain come, it would have been a smaller target, and the likes of Babar Azam and Fakhar Zaman, hoping that they would have been a smaller target, kind of be like a T20 game, they would be able to capitalize on that and get them through. But a very negative move, I do feel that, but I think that's how they wanted to win the game.
Yeah, Naresh, we talked a little bit about Pakistan's bowling. I think, obviously, as Jinesh mentioned, Mohammad Amir was really the only bowler out of them who actually covered himself in any kind of glory, really, in that match. I think the most disappointing bowler out of all of them, I think, was Hassan Ali, really. I'm not sure if his figures were the worst out of all of them, but considering, again, that 2017 Champions Trophy final, and then the way he bowled in this match, surely that had to be a massive disappointment for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think he didn't bowl his entire quota. He bowled about 9 overs odd and 80 plus runs. I think he was in there for long. I think that's where Sarfaraz's limitation got exposed. He made Hassan bowl for a longer spell. Mohammad Amir started well. He bowled the first over as a maiden, actually. And the entire burden was on Rohit Sharma because he was having a new partner to open with. So Hassan Ali could not capitalize on that. And I think that was the game plan, to play out Mohammad Amir well and attack Hassan Ali, and Rohit Sharma did that very, very well. And when Rohit Sharma gets going, and it was around in the 5th over, the 6th over, when we saw Rohit Sharma opening up against Hassan Ali, and that really put a lot of pressure on Pakistan. And that the way Sarfaraz was rotating the bowlers, it didn't come across convincing that he was trying to get wickets. It was more of very defensive changes he was making. There was too much of an expectation that Mohammad Amir would get a breakthrough early, and I think Indian batsmen proved that wrong. And after that, it was very smooth sailing between Rohit and KL Rahul. KL Rahul had his role very well defined, to just rotate strike, and Rohit Sharma takes the as a very attacking role in absence of Shikhar Dhawan. So yes, Hassan Ali he just had a terrible day, and so did Wahab Riaz. He didn't do well. He had an injury in between. He came back. He bowled his entire quota, but these two bowlers just didn't do well, which was too much of a pressure on Sarfaraz.
Yeah, Jinesh, you mentioned the uppercut into the stands, Rohit Sharma on Hassan Ali, which is for me a little bit reminiscent of Sachin Tendulkar and Shoaib Akhtar from 2003. Not that I'm comparing Hassan Ali to Shoaib Akhtar. I don't want any Pakistan fans on at me after this. But let's talk a little bit about Rohit Sharma. This was his second century in the World Cup so far. He scored one in India's opening game against South Africa. And really, this tournament was a marquee moment for him in his career. He was just absolutely stunning throughout the whole tournament. This century against Pakistan, Jinesh, where do you think for Rohit Sharma this ranks in terms of the best that you've seen?
I think pretty highly. Any World Cup performance against Pakistan, being Indians, is going to be remembered. Just the way he attacked in that first 10 overs, with no Shikhar Dhawan, he recognised he has to be the guy that, starts the aggressive passage of play. But to be honest, my most defining memory of that innings was the way he took on the Pakistani leg spinner Shadab Khan. Because I've been very critical of the way India have been batting against spinners in recent time. Kohli, Sharma, Dhawan, they like to milk the ball for singles early on. They wait for the likes of Pandya to hit the big shots in the end, right? Even Rohit Sharma, we call him like the six hitter, but if you look at a lot of his sixes, they're pulls, or he hits the seamers for a lot of sixes, but they're not overly aggressive against the spinners. And I just thought that day, when Sarfaraz gave the ball to Shadab Khan, he just took him on from over one and, launched him for some sixes. And I thought that's when the Pakistanis just got deflated, because, Old Trafford, it kind of spins quite a bit there. So, he would have been a threat. So that's why that innings, I'll always remember as one of my favourites that I've seen from Rohit.
Amish, being in the stands that day, tell me, what was it like? Tell me.
Oh man, that was good, man. That was good. Before I get to that, I'm going to put some context in there, and I think it's been covered. But look, India's biggest rival, Pakistan, biggest stage of the World Cup, biggest stage of cricket, the World Cup. The game before, Dhawan got 100. I think, against Australia.
Against Australia, yeah, correct. And
he was no longer playing this game. KL's coming in, it's a big change, and we all know about Dhawan and Rohit Sharma's opening partnership. So that's a lot of incremental pressure on Rohit Sharma. So for him to play in the manner he played in this match was absolutely incredible. I think this was his fastest 50. Normally he builds his innings up and then gets it attacking, but and bearing in mind, he's facing Mohammad Amir, who was bowling absolute quality. So for him to destroy every other bowler out of the attack was satisfying. And Joe, I remember some of his shots were just so clean. Like it was, he didn't get tested once, and that just gave me confidence for the innings. I think there was one, there was a run-out chance with him and AL where.
Oh yes, and very early on.
That could have been a game changer. But other than that, he wasn't tested. Like he just made it look so easy. He could have easily got 200. We know he's done it before, and he makes the manner in which he played that innings against the opponent at the biggest stage of all speaks volumes. He absolutely smashed it that game, let alone the tournament.
See, look at the smile on Amish's face right now, right? the way he talks about it, dude, yeah? Especially in lockdown, these podcasts are the only chance I get to wear this shirt, right? And the way he's talking, yeah? I've got goosebumps just listening to him, just looking at him smile. So
yeah, totally check it out.
That's how much it means. That's how much it means to us people.
Indeed. Ajay, what did it... Indeed, yeah. Ajay, what did it mean to you being there on the day to see that innings?
Wow, it was amazing. I thought KL Rahul really helped him, and everyone I think we only had one failure, which was MS Dhoni, but I think that was a time where he was trying to get up, like improve the strike rate and get us over to the 350 mark. But apart from that, I think all the batsmen played really well. Even Kohli got 77, I believe, and they all chipped in really well. It was a really good batting performance, and obviously Rohit Sharma was exactly that. Cherry on the cake, wasn't it? With the 140 he scored, was fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Naresh, obviously you live in Pune, but you, as you always say, you're a Mumbai boy through and through. Rohit Sharma brought Mumbai to Manchester that day.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that that Amish mentioned, Naresh, is that Rohit Sharma didn't get tested, and I think the only thing that we really saw of him, that the immense frustration when he got out. He walked off the pitch, punching his bat. I mean, I think we all feel it deep down that there was another double hundred there, because it wasn't looking like he was actually going to get out at any point.
Yes, when he got out, it was a 38th over or 39th. India was 230, 240. He had faced about 113 balls. Actually, more than that, the frustration was that he played it to the fielder. The fielder was just pushed back the prior delivery. I think that was more frustrating. Obviously, double hundred, something which Rohit Sharma would love to get in a World Cup, and he's one person who's capable of doing it. But yeah, that frustration was there. The crowd backing, and as you mentioned about the presence over there, I refer to Rakesh's interview of 1999 Manchester to 2019 Manchester. So it was like a home feeling for the Indian team. And surprisingly, though it was overcast and the pitch was covered throughout the week, it didn't do much. And that's where Rohit also felt at home. He really, and when Rohit feels at home, the opponent bowlers have lots to do about that. So, yeah, I think he missed out on a 200 for sure.
Yeah, there's one other thing I want to talk about from India's batting innings, which is one of the, I suppose, it's kind of one of those what happened next moments. The strangest thing that happened was Virat Kohli's phantom edge with Mohammad Amir bowling that short delivery. And then Kohli pretty much just walking off by himself, didn't wait for the umpire's decision. And then Amish, I'm not sure if you guys knew this in the stand when you were actually there, but when they showed the replay, Snicko had no edge registered.
Yeah. So I had my headset on, so I was still listening to commentary, and that's when I was like, wait, what's going on here? And if you remember that Kohli innings, he played absolutely beautifully. Some of his shots were incredible, like his drives, lost in extra cover drives, he was like, to be honest, India actually did terrible getting only to 336. We should have got 350, 360 at the rate we were going. And the manner in which our team were batting, but it just shows, right? It just shows the integrity of Virat Kohli, because he thought he nicked it and he didn't even wait for the umpire's response. He started walking. So fair play, like at a big game like that, to know you've just walked away when you went. I don't know how Kohli must be feeling. That must have been tough, because there was a comfortable 100 in it for him as well. But yeah, he batted beautifully as well. We can't take anything away. Also, he played at such a good rate without taking any risks. There was all cricket shots. So yeah, could have been a lot bigger.
Ajay, were you guys aware of what was happening in the stands when he got out?
No, when I was made aware of it, I saw it on the big screen, and it showed Virat, obviously, when he was sat in the pavilion, and he was trying to smash his bat. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he was. You could tell he was very distraught with himself. I don't think he should have walked. Maybe he's reviewed it. But look, it is what it is. He done the best thing what he thought, and that's it.
Yes, indeed, it was what it was. I mean, still, India went on to score 336 there. So, let's talk a bit about the Pakistan innings. Jinesh, obviously, we saw the 2017 final. What was your feelings at that halfway point? Did you think that Pakistan might be able to chase it down?
No chance. To be honest, even if India scored 200, I think I give them no chance. This is why I was annoyed with Kohli, winning the toss and electing to field in the Champions Trophy. But I just don't think they're good chasers. But I did think that they surprisingly chased pretty well. The first 20 overs, right, India bowled very well, but they never gave their wickets away. You know, usually Pakistanis, they give their wickets away. And then just before Kuldeep Yadav bowled that beautiful ball, I think they had 20 runs in 2 overs. Now, you know, I was slightly getting a bit nervous. And one of the things when you're watching India at the ground, you can never sometimes tell, you know, people are buzzing, the dolls are playing, people are singing. And then, you know, I'm a bit of a serious fan with my headset on, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, lads, like, I don't think you guys need
singing
to...
there, bang.
So stop dancing, you know, because they've just caned us for 20 in 2 overs. You don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, when he produced that master ball, you know, I was pretty relieved. And then from then on, you know, I think we got 2 in 2 overs or 2 in 3 overs, and, you know, and then the rains came. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get on to talking about, you know, the wonder ball in a little bit, but I think that there was another turning point that happened just before that, which was Bhuvaneshwar Kumar getting injured and being unable to continue, and he walked off to go get some treatment. Naresh, at that point, Virat Kohli threw the ball to Vijay Shankar. What do you think he was expecting Vijay Shankar to do with that ball?
Honestly, he just wanted the over to get completed. To be very honest,
definitely, 100%.
Yeah, and play off and get the little shine off the ball, because he wouldn't want the spinners to come in during the power play.
Why not Pandya? Why wouldn't he give the ball to Pandya? Why Vijay Shankar ahead of Pandya?
Pandya was a mainstream bowler to bowl the 10 overs.
Yeah, it's the allotted overs, isn't it?
Yeah. If he had to bowl a couple of overs here, he wouldn't have been able to bowl the entire quota.
Such early on, just to say, let's get the over finished.
Yeah, and the other thing Virat would have had in mind, what if Bhuvi doesn't come back, which ultimately happened. And to add to what Jinesh mentioned, if the second wicket partnership would have gone longer and it would have got a little closer, death over bowler was missing. Bhuvi was not coming back. That would have been a bit of a pressure. So coming back to this one, yes, I think it became a master stroke of getting Vijay Shankar, and he got a wicket LBW.
So of course, the master stroke we're all talking about is, of course, Virat Kohli throws the ball to Vijay Shankar. He kind of ambles up to the crease, pitches the delivery, and it wraps the pads of Imam ul Haq. The finger goes up, crowd goes wild. It gets reviewed straight away, which I think, you know, is partly because Imam ul Haq. I think he did review it, did he not?
He was thinking about it, but then...
No, he didn't review
it. He didn't review it. Okay. He didn't review it. So, you know, when we actually saw the replay, which is probably what I'm thinking of, it pitches on leg going onto hit leg. So was it also a great bit of umpiring? You've got to say, great bit of umpiring. And then Virat Kohli, after that ball, turns straight to the dressing room and gives the hand signal to let Bhuvaneshwar Kumar stay off the pitch. Which, you know, was absolutely, you know, a stunning little moment there. Amish, what was your thoughts when he gave the ball to Vijay Shankar?
Surprised, but yeah, I guess Vijay Shankar, he's not had much international cricket, and therefore probably less exposed. Hardik Pandya played in 2017. Pakistan players haven't seen him. He was a lot slower. Therefore, maybe that surprise change, just tactical masterstroke, maybe, who knows? I'm not sure, but either way, I'm not complaining. He did a job, and I just remember in the stands us singing JJ Vijay Shankar. I've been singing that all day.
Ajay, what's your thoughts?
I was very scared. I hadn't seen much of Vijay Shankar, and so obviously I thought, oh no, like, what's going to happen next? And I must admit, I was very nervous. But within one ball, he changed it for me, and I was like Amish said, jubilant in the crowd, and that chant did go around JJ Vijay Shankar. It was quality.
Jinesh, had you seen much of Vijay Shankar leading up to that?
I had in the tour against New Zealand, and to be honest, I'm very impressed with him. I really hope he makes a comeback. I like his batting. I think his injury in the end was a huge blow to India. I think, you know, people talk about no number 4, etc. I think India had him as the batsman, you know, that would come in if they were in deep trouble. I think he's got good technique, and he does a bit with the ball. You know, in England, all you need to do is a little bit, you know, like you saw with that delivery. And I think he ended up getting 2 wickets in that game. You know, so, you know, sometimes in India, right, you know what it is we get overly excited with IPL performances. Right, this guy's come from, you know, Ranji, 18 cricket, etc. Right, people, and you know what, they look at him and they think, oh, you know, they're not willing to give this guy a chance because he's not done the job in IPL. You know, I don't know why we set the IPL as the benchmark of all our cricket.
Naresh, what did you know about Vijay Shankar before the match?
If you remember one of the, I think it was Asia Cup, or I think it was in Sri Lanka, some trophy, he and Dinesh Karthik took us to the end, you know. That was a bit of a performance with the bat. Yes, kind of a middle over bowler who can, you know, swing a bit. As Dinesh was mentioning, you need to do a little bit in English conditions, and you really can keep the batsman down. And the role in this match, or the role for Vijay Shankar at number 4, was that he would be the number 6 bowler. And yes, he would do with the bat, because the top 3 were expected to really do well and they were in good form. So yes, unfortunately, Shikhar Dhawan got injured, and that's the reason he could make it at number 4. But yeah, he has some good performances back home in domestic cricket. T20, as Dinesh was mentioning, that shouldn't be an influence to get into the Indian team or T20 performance, and not big IPL you know, stats he has behind him. But yes, in domestic cricket for India A, and because India A plays a lot of 50-over games, so I think that was one of the main reasons of his selection.
Wasn't it a flip between? Wasn't a flip between him and Rishabh Pant to get into the 15, or am I thinking of a different time? Because Rishabh Pant was flown in, wasn't he? Later on, Vijay Shankar got injured.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Because there was a lot of talk.
Rishabh Pant, yeah. So there was post that there was an option between Rishabh Pant and Ambati Rayudu, and then Rishabh Pant was flown in. Yes, there were a lot of debates around that bit, because there was India team, A team playing in UK with Ajinkya Rahane and Shreyas Iyer already being there, you know. So
yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And so when it comes to the Pakistan innings, as we were talking about, even after that wicket fell, really, they actually started to put on a really, really strong partnership, which I think had us all a little bit worried, because Babar Azam was pretty much playing, you know, the best cricket that he played in his entire career up until that point. But also the other thing that was looming in the background, Amish, was also Fakhar Zaman was still there. And obviously we all have memories of what he did to us in that 2017 Champions Trophy final. What was going on at that point in the stands when those two were batting?
I remember sitting there with Akshay, and it was tense during that partnership, right? It was really tense during that partnership. However, it's still a big total, and you could question Pakistan's temperament, because it doesn't, for Pakistan to win, India need to be at their worst. And if I'm honest with you, I don't think India were at their worst. So although they were batting really well, there was still a big total left. And yeah, fortunately, the wonder ball comes.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the wonder ball, shall we? Kuldeep Yadav with an incredible flighted delivery, which is almost, you know, the kind of ball that, you know, he himself described as the perfect test cricket ball. It's the kind of ball that you pitch on like a 4th or 5th day cricket pitch, where it was just an absolutely delicious bit of flight, almost looked like it was still moving in the air by the time it actually landed. And it just nipped back and crashed into Babar Azam's. It looked like the off and the middle stump, somewhere between the two. That ball obviously crashed into the stumps. Kuldeep Yadav runs off celebrating. crowd go wild. Ranveer Singh is going mental in the stands as well at that point. And it's really just a moment which I think it's fair to say, Amish, what would you say? Was that the ball of the tournament?
Yeah, and I think definitely the ball of the game. Ball of the tournament for us. I have to record some of the fantastic deliveries, which I'm sure there were. But that probably gave everyone a lot of comfort. We needed to break that partnership, and that's what opened up the gates for India to capitalize and get. Well, you've got 2 in a few overs, and Pandya comes in and gets 2 in 2. Like,
yeah, the run chase pretty much just patted out from there on, I think.
And I'm someone who's very, very prudent, so I don't want to celebrate until the game's over. But let's be honest, guys, the game
is
was over.
Yeah. Absolutely. Naresh, what did you think about the ball?
Yeah, as you said, the crowd went quiet for sure during that partnership. They got about 100 plus together in 19 overs, so they were doing well. 5.5 runs per over. Crowd was silent. But if you compare both the innings and the way the spinners bowled, that's where Pakistan lost out. They were not giving air to the ball. They were bowling short, and Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli capitalized. And that's where Kuldeep was really good. He was taking the risk of giving it air. He knew he would get some turn. The pitch, though it was overcast in the earlier part of the day, the pitch continued to be dry as far as the bowlers is concerned. And he really got a good turn on that particular delivery. Yes, I would say at least the ball of the match. It just ended the game for Pakistan over there, that particular delivery.
Yeah, Ajay, what was it like? What was it like for you in the stands when that ball crashed into the stumps?
Well, 1 year previous to that, India had played England at the Old Trafford ground in a T20, and Kuldeep actually picked up 6 wickets in that game. So when he came on, I was very hopeful that he's going to do it again. Even if he gets 3 wickets, India won this. That's how confident I was that we would get over the line. But that ball, the wonder ball, wow, amazing. The crowd, it did go a little bit silent and nervy, but look, it was amazing.
Yeah, and Naresh, I suppose one of the things with Kuldeep Yadav really is that he didn't have a great World Cup. And I suppose with that ball, you really kind of like saw just how great he can be, because we've seen in an India shirt him get like hat tricks and in the 50 over format, and so with that ball we really just got a glimpse of actually just how deadly he can be. But as far as an ICC tournament is concerned, with that ball he pretty much did the business.
Yeah, and probably the best bowling spell for the day. 10 overs, just about 30 runs odd and 2 wickets. But yes, the confidence that particular delivery gave to Kuldeep, because he was part of the main setup. If you see, India this was the 3rd game India was playing. The 5 bowler setup was common in these games until Bhuvi got injured. So it was very critical that Chahal and Kuldeep do well in their 20 overs.
Firstly, I'll speak from the last 20, 25 years that I've seen India-Pakistan games.
Sure.
And one, I think India are better than Pakistan, right? We've got a better talent in our team. And secondly, I think our mental strength is greater than theirs at the big moments. I think Pakistan don't show that level of temperament or composure. Fair enough, non-World Cup, but if we talk about Champions Trophy, goes back to the point, for Pakistan to win, India have to be at their worst. And if I'm honest with you, that whole tournament, we were at our best, and that game, we did not turn up. So unless we play our worst, I don't feel like Pakistan are right now anywhere near good enough. If we talk about composure, temperament, let's look at that run-out chance with Rohit Sharma, game changer, but they threw it at the wrong end. If we think about 2 wickets in quick succession that happened twice in that innings, game changer. On several occasions, it's like they slip up at the key moments, and to be credit to India, right? Because we play that game and we bring out, we just up our game, and everything just works out.
Yeah, indeed.
Just a bad team.
Yeah, indeed. It's one of those things, really, isn't it? That you sometimes really hard to pinpoint. Naresh, I think that in recent years, I think we can definitely say that India have overall, largely been the better team in the 2000s and the 2010s. But, you and I will probably remember 1992, 1996, and 1999 and those victories. Even that was very strange at a time when Pakistan were largely the better team, to see us registering victories against them in World Cups.
Yeah, I think you take these 3 World Cups together. I think we had a consistent captain, Azharuddin. I think that experience, captaincy, I think that is one area Pakistan is really struggling. A real strong captain, after the Imran Khan era, and mental strength. Obviously, India has only improved from there. There's one aspect which is now really a huge gap between these 2 teams, is the fielding.
Yes.
We have seen Azharuddin and then Saurav Ganguly, especially the team under Saurav Ganguly, is when we started seeing some brilliant fielders come into the team. So that's a huge gap. And most important is the pressure situations, how they're getting handled and how they are making those required changes during that. And this particular game, if you analyze that got exposed the way Sarfaraz was leading the team. You have these 2 senior guys in Mohammad Hafiz and Shoaib Malik. Between them, they have played 500 one-days, 14,000 runs, and nearly 300 wickets. The pitch was not doing much for the Pacers. They just got 1 over each. They could have got a little longer spell to contain Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. So taking that into consideration, I think the captaincy, the way the fielding unit has been today compared to the previous years, that these 2 areas have become a big gap between these 2 teams, and you see that in the results.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Ajay, what do you think? Pakistan, what is it that we've got over them in these World Cups that they just can't quite get over the line?
I think it's a mental block. I think we've got the wood on them, to be honest with you. It's mentally, I think we play with a structure, and I think they play to kind of beat us all the time. And I think we always seem to have an edge that we can, when it comes to playing cricket, we play a brand that is very good, and it's like kind of, we're set up, players are like for like, but for every time you see Pakistan, it's just like the World Cup match for them is India. It's like, we want to beat India, and that's our World Cup. Now, when you put so much pressure on that one particular game, and if you get beat, the whole thing is just crumbled. I mean, sometimes they're beaten before they come to the ground. I very much believe that, because the amount of pressure, media, everything is on them. That this is their World Cup. We're going to win today. That's it. We're going to win India. That's our tournament. Whereas India see the bigger picture and say, well, this is a World Cup. We're going to win every game by the time that this is how we're going to treat the game, and we're going to play the game, and we'll win. That's what I
That's a really good point. That's a really good point, right? Because I feel like India treat this as another game, whereas I feel like Pakistan fans want to win against India more than they want to win the World Cup. I remember speaking to a Pakistani fan at a following game, and they wanted us to lose against England, which would mean they get knocked out of the tournament, but they're happy because India are out. So personally, I wouldn't get satisfaction from, I don't care what any other team do. I just want India to do well, whereas they wanted India to lose in order for them to be, which would mean they're also out.
But do
you see the game differently?
So yeah, that's it. I was just about to say that they see a game, they would rather India lose, whereas Pakistan win, and that's where we're at the moment.
Yeah, and Ashish, to add, wherever now India is playing, you see crowds following them. You go to you don't have to be at home to have the fan following and the crowd supporting you. And that's additional pressure on Pakistan. They know they're going to play in a neutral venue, but the crowd support is all with India. So that's adding up to the pressure, besides off the field pressure of how to perform against India. And what we see Pakistan lacking, they don't seem to have a plan B or a C in case of the situations on ground. Whereas India comes across much better prepared when it is against Pakistan. They look forward playing that game.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Lots to think about for Pakistan going ahead, I suppose. Now, obviously, we've seen, 7 of these matches over the years. Some have been, absolute nail biters. Some, I think you'd probably argue that this one, maybe not so much, kind of a very one-sided game, this one.
Yeah.
It depends, obviously, what you prefer out of your cricket game, whether you prefer a dominant performance or whether you prefer a nail-biter. But, very quickly, just going round to you guys, where does this India-Pakistan victory rank for you in terms of, the bigger picture of all of them, basically, this collection of 7 matches? Where do you think this one ranks? Let's start with you, Amish.
So I think you hit the nail on the head in the sense that, great, we beat them, but it just didn't feel as satisfying because it was so easy. Like, with all due respect, it just didn't feel as intense. And if I think about some of the other games, the 2003 tough chase, Tendulkar, actor, and for personal reasons, that was just a special moment for me, right?
Yeah, arguably Sachin Tendulkar's greatest ever innings, I would actually argue as well, that 2003, yeah.
If you remember, he got injured that game, and then he just went crazy. Like, he was he just thought, while he's here, he should just make the most of it. And that was a satisfying win. The 2011 was a satisfying win in the sense that it's such a big game, and our team stepped up. And 2007 were good, but they were probably a lot closer. But I prefer the one-day formats. And if I think about this, because this is the first India World Cup match that I have been to, one amazing memory I have is during the rain interval, Bharat Army got the huge flag out. There was music playing on in the back, Chale Chalo, and guys, you look around, you see flags, you see it was a thinking of that, I get goosebumps. I get it. There's a few videos we've got of that, and when I watch that video, I feel like that was a special moment that, if I look back, I always think of that moment for India Pakistan. That was the highlight of that day for me.
Oh, what a highlight that is. Naresh, where does this match rank for you with the rest of them?
No, as you said, Ashish, this turned out to be a convincing win. And I think the lack of experience of such a big show I think that was, exposed for this particular Pakistan team. I will go with Amish. 2011 and 1996, they both were real good games, purely because they were knockouts. India was to move ahead to semifinals. But 2003, you have to cherish purely because that was the only game where India chased. You have Sehwag, Sachin, Ganguly, Dravid, Yuvraj, great batting lineup. But they were playing actually against the top-class Pakistan bowling lineup. You had Waqar Yunus, you had Wasim Akram, you had Shoaib Akhtar, you had Abdul Razak. So that win should be cherished more, though it was in a league phase compared to the knockouts. But that is close to the memory, the 2003 win. It was 276 odd. India was chasing, and they did it really well.
Yeah, that 2003 team with all those bowlers that you mentioned, I think Shahid Afridi was also in that bowling lineup as well. So, what a lineup that actually was. I think you're right, actually. I would say if, I was to pinpoint one, obviously 2003 was a very special one just to see that Sachin Tendulkar innings, because that's, for me, that's his best one-day innings. But you know what? I do think that 1996 was the best match. I think that was the most exciting one, I think, out of all of them.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are old enough to remember it, Ajay, which one would you say was your highlight, and where do you think that this one ranks?
My favorite would probably be the 2011, because without that, the World Cup wasn't possible. Then I would probably go for the 2003 South Africa. It was Sachin's 98, I believe.
Yeah.
And this one's up there because I was there. Personally, as a personal mark, that because I was there, I witnessed Rohit Sharma 140 qualities. So that's why I rate this one very highly. Also, I mean, listen, a win's a win. Do you know what I mean? So all of them together, I can't personally put them 1, 2, 3, but lay them 3 favorites.
And if you had one lasting memory, Ajay, of being in the stands that day, like Amish was mentioning during the rain break and stuff, what would be like your one moment of being there on the day that you kind of remember more than any other?
The Wonder Ball. I think when Kuldeep got was it Babar Azami bowled through the gate?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow, it was just like because I was biting my nails in the stand and I was very nervous. I thought, do you know what, the partnership is getting very very strong now. Pakistan are in a very good position with the Duckworth Lewis. So that was I was getting very on edge, and do you know what? Because of that, it was just I jumped up out my seat, and the jubilation in the stand, because obviously all of our stand was full with Indians. Everyone just, it was quality. It was you couldn't put it this way. You can't describe it unless you were there, and that's how I felt about it. It was just so much happening.
Such wonderful memories of 365 days ago.
Yeah, Ashish,
Go on,
one thing
Ash.
we didn't mention about, as Amish was mentioning, goosebumps when you're in the stadium, India, Pakistan, during the national anthem of India. I think that moment is just amazing. You know, especially against Pakistan, the moment of the national anthem of India is just that's like value for money being there in the stadium for an India-Pakistan game. It's the national anthem.
Yeah, every World Cup game, if I miss, I have to get there for the national anthem. If I miss it, then I've missed out on that experience, because it's such a it's a huge part of the day if you go to the game. But yeah, patriotic moments, man, patriotic moments.
You know, I don't understand fans that turn up, kind of like half an hour after the first ball has been bowled or anything. If you're going to be there and pay all that money to be there, you have to be there for the national anthem. It's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Such wonderful memories. And what a pleasure it was talking about all of these memories with you guys. And that concludes our first episode in our Bharat Army Cricket World Cup Rewind series. And we will have more episodes of these to come. But, drop us a line at the Bharat Army on all of our social media platforms and let us know what your favorite memories were. Now, to end this podcast, unfortunately, on a slightly tragic note, today, we obviously got the news that of the death of Sushant Singh Rajput, the Bollywood actor, the superstar of Bollywood, who obviously would be more well known to all of our cricket fans as the man who played MS Dhoni in the biopic about Dhoni's life. A life tragically cut short. What we're hearing is that it was a suicide. And so to end this podcast, we just want to say that if anybody is feeling down, or if anybody is going through any issues, please do talk to people around you. Talk to your family, your friends, seek professional help if you feel like that's what you need. There's absolutely no shame in it. And until the next podcast, everyone out there, stay safe, stay home, show nothing but love, kindness, care, and compassion to each other. And we will see you on the next podcast. Jai Hind.